I'm ready to go. Yes, my people, welcome to the first real episode of the Where's My podcast. Today, we are joined by the wonderful Abigail Ajobi, the creative director, founder, and designer of the namesake band, Abigail Ajobi. Abigail, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Cool.
I'm nervous.
Do you know, it's funny because me and Abigail have literally been speaking for like 2 hours before, and now we have to come on and actually speak what we were meant to speak
It's
about.
spooky. Do you know what it is? It's the lights, camera, action.
All of that stuff, man.
effect.
Yeah, man. But I don't know. I feel like we'll grow into it as it goes on.
It'll be calm.
Yeah. Obviously, I just got to start off by asking a couple of questions. But anyway, do you know what I think is a good place to start, Abigail? I just want to talk about kind of what I told you before about why I wanted you on the pod so much. You don't mind if I say that, innit?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Cool. So basically, the main reason, was I really like seeing people or designers or up-and-coming designers who seem to be very authentic.
Yeah.
Like, obviously doing what I do, doing what we do, we look for different designers all the time. We just look at different personalities. And sometimes it just feels like, not to say people aren't real, not saying that because I ain't trying to ruffle no feathers, but like, I don't know, man, people just seem to be acting in a way that doesn't really come natural to them. But every time I saw you from the videos I was watching on YouTube or to your socials or just through your designs, I just felt like this girl seems very genuine. She definitely feels like someone that it has embraced the fact that she's at, let's say, the beginning of her journey and she's got a long way to go, but she still has goals and ambitions that she knows she'll achieve. And that really represents what we stand for. Do you know what I mean? We're trying to provide that platform for the up-and-coming designers, the people with the big dreams, and the people that we believe are on that trajectory to get in there, and you're definitely one of those people. So, Abigail, thank you so much for coming on the pod.
I feel so honoured.
Yeah, no.
Give it that whole...
No, you got to give credit where it's true, and I told you today, when I big you up, you got to talk your shit as well, though. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to do your thing.
Wait,
so.
you swear on this?
Yeah, of course.
I don't really swear anyway.
There's no rules. Oh, you're asking for me?
No rules. Yeah,
You're asking for me. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say things like the F word and that, because I don't really use that, but S word, is that even a swear word?
I don't say it.
Okay.
It feels like so rude.
You think?
Whatever I can't say in front of my mum, I just don't say in normal conversation.
Cool. Well, talk your stuff today then. Yeah. Cool. But you know what I mean? Yeah. Obviously, with conversations, I think the best place to start is the beginning. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you're a designer, but you weren't always a designer. Abigail Ajobi was just a person before. So I really want to speak about your background, where you grew up, what it was like growing up and whatnot. So take it away.
So, I mean, as I told you, youngest and only girl of 3 siblings. So I've got 2 older brothers. And I feel like my 2 older brothers is like, I don't want to say they're my rock, but they're just like the people that kind of influence what I do almost. What else about? It's so weird when people ask me to talk about myself because I'm just like,
you got to get used to it.
What do I say?
You got to get used to it.
I mean, I'm 24.
Yeah. No, you can say all of that. Like, do you know what? I want to get more at like your upbringing and kind of, whilst we're talking about it, I want to hear things that kind of show how you ended up in the position you're in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because there's loads of things in your upbringing that have affected why you're a designer and why
Definitely.
your designs are the way they are. Do you know what I mean?
I think, well, having 2 older brothers, definitely, because then I went on to study, and obviously my dad, I went on to study menswear for my BA degree at London College of Fashion. Okay. Before that, I did a foundation degree at Central St Martin's, which are supposed to be very prestigious.
It is. Even the name sounds prestigious. Yeah.
So I guess those 2 factors, having like my brothers, as I said, and my dad, shaped that. And then also being Nigerian, like even like the simple thing of like when you go to a party or to a wedding, you choose the fabric, and then from there you choose the design and you do your own thing. So I feel like I kind of like that kind of shaped me, you know, seeing just like when we used to go to parties, my dad always used to say, you have to dress to kill, just to impress.
Well, it's true though.
And that was just instilled in me. And like, I just always liked seeing men specifically look good. So I was like, I'm going to study menswear. Cool. Did that. Came out of uni now. Bear in mind, I only came out of uni 2019.
Yeah. Does it feel like it was a long time ago?
Yeah, it feels like it was a time ago.
Yeah.
I feel like I've just been doing a lot of stuff. That's why it feels like it was such a long time ago, but it actually wasn't that long ago. But yeah, I came out of uni 2019. Worked for a bit in fashion.
As you said.
Was not for me.
Yeah.
Was not for me. And then from there, I started my brand in 2020, October of 2020, in line with Black History Month in the UK and Nigerian Independence Day, which was the 1st of October. So and I guess it's kind of like a quick journey, but it's not. It's a lot of factors that I can't even talk about that happened that, I don't know, it's kind of subconscious.
That's what I want to talk about, because don't get me wrong, your answer was perfect.
Yeah.
But I even want to go before, in the sense that you grew up North London. Whereabouts in North London? What was that like?
You went secondary school.
Yeah, no, for real, man. You know what we speak about before.
Yeah. I mean, so I grew up in Enfield, innit? I went to primary school in Enfield, pretty much. And secondary school in Enfield. I went to college in East London.
Which one? Oh, you can't say.
Ooh, it's getting techie.
Oh my days. I'll bleep it out. We'll bleep it out.
Should I tell you? This is off the record.
Remember, I'm not from East, innit, so I may not even know it.
College,
But it was a good one though, yeah?
No, man.
For real, what's wrong?
It was alright.
Yeah.
I don't know, the teachers are a bit... I don't know.
Yeah.
I have to verbalise this, innit?
Yeah.
I do a lot of facial expressions. This is hard.
But they can see. So.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
The teachers are a bit somehow. But...
I can imagine with most schools.
Yeah, even with uni. Like going to an art school. I really do at my UAL, University of the Arts London, which is where I went. But it's just like... I don't know, the education system, I was glad to get out of it. And I didn't want to go back to do a master's. I didn't see myself there.
Abigail, I'm really happy you touched on this, because I don't know if a misconception is the right word for what I'm about to say, but I feel like with a lot of people that design now, they feel like it's imperative that you should go to like design school or like fashion school. And I feel like you're the first person I've spoken to that's actually gone to like studied fashion. So I really want to know what that's like. But before that, I kind of want to ask, like, you've obviously told us that your dad, he always told you dress to kill. Do you know what I'm saying? Like your mum's always been into fashion stuff with their designer handbags and whatnot. Yeah, but like, when you were young, growing up and in secondary school or whatever, did you always know you were going to go on to be a designer? Was that fashion that meaningful to you?
Yeah, I did. So strange. I studied textiles as like, because we had to choose like an art subject.
Yeah. Oh, you had to choose one?
Yeah, we had to choose art, humanities. Humanities was like geography or history.
Yeah.
So we had to actually choose. And it's so funny. For some reason, I always used to call London College of Fashion London School of Fashion. So I thought it was a sixth form. So you
didn't know it was a university?
I didn't know it was part of University of the Arts London, because it's so like... Anyway, so this is a funny story. So I applied thinking I could go on straight to...
Oh my goodness. After secondary?
Yeah. I mean, technically, I couldn't have. Yeah, there was no way I could have, So my dad, being the person he is, because I just told my dad, this is what I want. I'm just going to go in there. So he was writing a letter to the board, everything. They replied back like, she's not old enough.
Yeah, that was literally it.
Basically, the letter, some long-winded letter basically to say, she's not old enough. But yeah, I kind of knew for a while, like, I wanted to go into fashion. I don't know what it was. Actually.
What, there's like a moment?
There's an added thing.
Okay, go on.
My auntie actually had a store.
Oh, nice. In London, yeah?
In London, I want to say Peckham.
Okay.
I think it was in Peckham. I remember her teaching me how to knit in the back of her
shop.
And
how young were you these times?
I don't remember, you know.
So it must have been a long time ago.
It was a while ago, yeah. She gave me my first knitting needles. I remember.
Proper sentimental. You still got those?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's fine. I wanted
my knitting set. Amongst loads of knitting needles now, but I remember there were pair of plastic yellow knitting needles. But other than being Nigerian and I felt like that was a really good moment for me. Yeah. Just to be around someone that understands where I want to be. Yeah.
Because do you feel like, obviously your parents, they like fashion or whatever, but it's one thing liking fashion and one thing like having a fashion store, being a designer. So do you feel like your auntie was that person that you needed? Like you didn't really have anyone else around you that got what you wanted to do?
Almost, in some way. I wouldn't say she was totally the reason, of course. I wouldn't say she was like the main reason even, but like maybe subconsciously, like being in her house, seeing her industrial machines and stuff. Because do you know what? I didn't even realise that until I was just speaking to you just now. That's so weird.
As in, you didn't realise how much of an impact your auntie had?
Yeah, because even now it's like... I told you I have my studio in my house, right?
Yeah.
She also basically had like a mini studio in her living room with all her machines, and like just seeing that, it was almost like normal to me now. But that's not normal. You don't walk into someone's living room.
It's not.
Bare
none of my aunties have sewing machines. Well, in fact, do you know what, Abigail? I feel like just being African, I feel like a lot of African mums did have sewing machines though.
They do.
Yeah, they
They
do.
do.
My mum defo had one. And my auntie defo had one as well.
Do you see what I mean?
Maybe that's why I'm doing what I'm doing today as well. Yeah, you know.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that was definitely a factor thinking about it, but it's just so weird because even though a lot of African aunties have a little domestic thing,
Yeah, they're not doing it.
not everyone has to. You know what an industrial sewing machine looks
What
like?
does it look like? Because you know what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of just a what?
It's a table. It has its own
Yeah.
table, and the machine sets inside
Yeah.
the table.
Yeah.
Then it has oil underneath that you have to lift up the machine. It's a proper
Wait, why is
table.
there oil in it?
To keep the. It's not one of those little pedal things.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
It's
that's
like
what I was
driving
thinking
a
about.
car.
Oh wow!
It's like the pedal will be that big.
You got one of those in your house now?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I've got two.
Yeah.
I've got. They're like my.
What do you say, twins?
I've got a lock stitch machine, which is just a normal sewing machine, and then I've got an overlocking machine, which does like. Overlocking. I don't know how to. So it has basically like 4 threads,
Okay.
and it feeds into the machine, and it finishes the edge. So you see on your t-shirt, you've got
Yeah.
what is called a cover stitch.
Okay.
So a completely different machine would do that. If you look on the other side, flip it over, flippy.
Oh, okay. Like this.
That's what the overlocker would basically do.
Okay. So in order for you to do certain designs, you need these sort of things.
Certain finishes.
Yeah,
which
because
is-
makes the big difference,
yeah,
innit?
it does.
Yeah.
Your thing could fall apart if it's not right. Your sleeve could fall off if
If you ain't done
stitch is not
something.
right.
Yeah. Cool. So obviously, Auntie was an influence. When you were young, were there any like designers that you looked up to? Because I'm not gonna lie, it's only now doing this that I've kind of understood the significance of certain people. Like I'll hear certain names like Phoebe Philo or whatever, and I'd think, oh, you don't know who that is?
No.
Oh, you're learning today.
Yeah, I'm
She,
learning today.
I don't know. I can't remember what she did, but she's important in it. But I would hear certain names, and I'd think they're just people. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they're just designers.
Yeah.
Whereas when you were younger, did you see certain people and be like, "Wow, I want to be like that person"?
I don't know. I feel like even up till now, I've just been influenced by scenarios and events and like watching stuff. Like even like a lot of my work is based on like, okay, for example, my
Yeah.
first collection and my graduate collection.
That collection
and-
we're gonna get on that was sick, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And even my dissertation, that was basically based on the Broadwater Farm riots in 1985 that happened in Tottenham and how black men are presented in the media. It wasn't necessarily inspired by a work of another designer, or
Yeah.
but I understand how you're saying, was I inspired? Did I look up to? But then again, my auntie she's a designer. She had her own brand. She had a shop.
I hear
So
that.
I guess I could say her if I wanted to count her as a designer, but I don't know if I really... Like, there were things that I saw, like, when I was in college, because obviously they made you reference designers or whatever. I was like, oh, yeah, that's sick. But I was never like, oh, my God, I want to be like so-and-so.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of like a...
Do you know what, Abigail? That's quite refreshing that you said that, because also I do feel like that's another misconception where people coming up in the industry tell themselves, oh, you know what? When I was younger, I didn't really know designers like that. So they kind of tell themselves that they're not able to kind of do it now. Do you know what I'm saying? It kind of goes against them, but it's like, you don't have to be, as we said, is it even really good to idolize people? Like, you don't necessarily have to look up to someone to end up in a similar position to where they are.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying?
I hear that.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's good to be aware. It's definitely good to be aware and to be informed and to educate yourself if you're not. But you don't necessarily have to be like, I want to be like the Queen, or I want to be like whoever. No,
Vivian
man.
Westwood or something like that.
Yeah, be yourself.
But so how would you feel, because you're going to get to this position, God willing, like, how are you going to feel when there's young ladies wanting to be Abigail Ajobi?
Or even young men.
Yeah, oh yeah, you do make men's wear, young men, yeah.
I mean, I don't know, because I don't know, because I get people in my DMs asking me questions now, like,
how does that feel?
Like I'm somebody.
You are though.
I mean, I'm doing bits and pieces,
Yeah.
and I thank God for the position that I'm in, and I thank God for the things that I've accomplished and that I'm accomplishing. But I don't know, I just take it in my stride, and like, I'm just glad, like, when people meet me, I'm not conceited yet. God forbid I'll be conceited. But it hasn't gone to my head yet.
Hopefully it never does.
Wait, say that one?
Hopefully it never does.
Yeah, I don't think it will.
Yeah, I was about to say, from just speaking to you today, these 3 hours we spent together, I don't feel like I ever will, man. That's why you're here. This is why I chose you. You seem humble, you seem real, you know what I'm saying? So
I try to be just myself. I try to be down to earth, because at the same time, like, if I was my younger self and I met me now, And I was like, I want to go to London College of Fashion and Central St Martin's. And I want to own a brand and show for London Fashion Week and work with British Fashion Council. And I want to show in Fenwicks or have an exhibition.
Talk your stuff. Yeah, I like that.
Would I want to meet me being like, nose up?
That's such a good way to think, man.
Yeah.
I think it's really important that up-and-coming designers like yourself think like that, because obviously the young people coming up, they want to feel like they can relate to you. Yeah. And let's say they felt like they could relate to you and then they meet you and it's like, oh, she's rude, she's not like me. Do you know what I'm saying? That could put them off, that could stop them from wanting to pursue a career in fashion. Do you know what I'm saying? Exactly, so it's really important. But, so cool, you spoke enough about like your upbringing. I really like the stuff you said, by the way. Now I want to go into like the actual education side of things, because obviously I said before, there is that belief that in order to reach certain heights within the design world or whatever, that you need to study fashion. Yeah. So I know you've got opinions on this. Like, what was fashion school like? What was fashion school like? Yeah. And how beneficial do you think it was in terms of what you're trying to achieve?
Oh, man. JT.
Stressing me. What, this question?
No.
I've given you a lot of room to maneuver.
You know, a lot of people ask me this question as well, and I actually did an Instagram live where someone tries to gauge dislike of me, like, do you think I'm a real designer? Basically, was asking me, I'm doing my thing, but I haven't been to school. Oh, it's between you and your God, isn't it? Like,
I hear that.
I feel like, as I've said, as long as you're educating yourself in the field you want to go in. You don't necessarily have to go to a specific institution where they teach 100%. You X, Y, and Z. However, there are some things in the trade. If you want to do certain things, like I want to learn how to sew, someone's going to have to, you can learn things to a certain point, but I feel like it would be easier and better to have someone actually be there to teach you. Maybe even if it's not in a university or a college or whatever, there comes a point where I feel like you can only go so far without having someone else's knowledgeable input, if that makes sense.
That does.
With like technical stuff, and even with business, like they don't teach you business in school.
They don't. When you say, do you mean in like fashion school, did they teach you about the business side of fashion? I'm sure they did.
No.
They don't teach you none of that?
I'll be so honest, no.
So what are you paying for then? No, I'm joking.
I feel like they taught me, what did I learn? I learned a lot. They taught me, okay, I feel like everyone's personal experience in university is different.
100%.
Yeah? I feel like what I learned on a personal level was how to refine my ideas. And I feel like my education at Central St Martin's and London College of Fashion, even though they're both University of the Arts London, they're under the same university, but they're two different colleges.
I didn't know that, you know.
There's 5 different colleges within UAL.
Okay.
But I just feel like my education from those 2 colleges were different. Like, I feel like CSM taught me to just be me, be free. That stereotypical artsy school, do you know what I mean? Run wild.
That's what it seems like. From the outside looking in, that's what it seems like.
I mean, it felt like that when I was in classes and stuff. It was just like, do your thing, flow.
And was that beneficial?
I feel like it was, because I just came out of college. I was like, how old was that? I was 18. So I did that for a year till I was 19. Cool. And then I went to London College of Fashion, and that taught me like how to refine my ideas for a customer. It taught me that, but it didn't teach me like, I didn't learn the business stuff. I didn't learn how to communicate with factories or network or deal with the finance stuff. I didn't know any of that. Like, after I graduated and I started my business, it was like, the designs, they're needed, but it's so much other stuff around that. There's so many things that people don't discuss, like, how are you gonna get funding?
Big question.
That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing as well, because you can't do nothing without money. Like, you could be the most talented, amazing textiles designer or whatever. What are you gonna do without funding? Be looking at yourself. Like, so yeah, I feel like it definitely taught me how to refine my ideas. It taught me all the technical parts. So like creating a tech pack. So a tech pack is basically basically what you need.
I'm so happy you went on to explain it, you know.
Yeah, because sometimes I just throw out what's that? Let me just explain it. So like a tech pack is basically what you need to give to a factory in order so that they know how to make that garment. So for example, your t-shirt will have a tech pack. Okay. In that tech pack, it might tell them how to construct it. It will tell them the ribbing on that. This is like the ribbing. It will tell them what kind of ribbon to use, what weight to use, etc., etc. If they're going to dye it, it's going to tell them the color, etc., 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 etc. That's what a tech pack is.
Literally giving the factory everything they need to make
everything they need to make the garment. If they need to use top stitching, what's the width on the cover stitch, everything. And then it will also have images. So like they're called spec drawings or whatever. So I learned how to do that. You normally do that on AI. What's the full version? Adobe Illustrator.
Okay.
So they taught me how to do that. They taught me how to sew. They taught me how to pattern cut. I learned all the technical stuff from uni, which I needed to do what I'm doing now. Without that, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in.
I'm actually happy you were honest about that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask, because obviously not everybody has the opportunity to go to said schools. So do you feel like it's still possible to get to where you're at and be able to do the things you're able to do, but like going to school kind of expedited that journey in a sense?
Yeah. I feel like it is possible to do what I'm doing. As I said, it's about educating yourself, and there are short courses. You don't even need to go to a whole university degree. And also, I have the skills that I have, but it took time for me to develop that away from a teacher. It's like when you learn how to drive. Do you drive?
No, not yet anyway.
Okay.
Starting lessons August 20th.
Come on. It's like when you learn how to drive. You have your instructor with you constantly, then you pass. You're on the road. You're on the M25 doing 70 miles an hour. You're probably doing about 50 when you're a new driver in the slowest lane by yourself. It's weird. You're moving a car by yourself. You have to develop that skill to get more confident and do the maneuvers. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like the same way I learned how to pattern cut, etc. from university, I had to now leave and be like, how do I develop these skills for myself so I can do better things rather than just the box they put me in and taught me how to do all the things in that box. What can I now do outside the box? If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does make sense.
So, yeah.
No, this is literally like the first time I've had like a conversation about fashion school. So I'm happy that you kind of gave both sides. Like you kind of showed that, you learn a lot there, but even still, everybody ends up in the position where they have to go solo at a point. Yeah,
I think, to be honest, with school, it just depends what you want to get out of it. Not everyone has to go to uni to do a certain job or to achieve something. Like the same thing as like, if I want to achieve something and someone else wants to achieve something, one goes to uni, one doesn't, we can still achieve the same thing. It just depends on the work both people are willing to put in and like how you're willing to educate yourself further from the point that you're at.
Yeah.
If that makes...
That's more important.
Yeah.
No, I hear that. One more question on like this education side of things, When you... Because obviously some people come from certain backgrounds where it's like they're fully aware of the position certain things are within society. And when I say that, I mean someone that comes from X place in Kensington or Chelsea or whatever, and their dads are artists and their mum's already a designer with a boutique in Westbourne Grove.
Thanks for listening to the first episode of Where's My Podcast.
What Central St. Martin's
is not over yet, though.
Head over to our Spotify. When you were going, were you aware of the institution you were going into, or the prestigiousness of it?
I did my research, innit? I know Alexander McQueen tried to go there and he became a lecturer instead. I know Kanye West tried to get in.
And he didn't get in?
Apparently not. From what I read, apparently they didn't let him in.
What?
I know a lot of prestigious people that went there. I was like, I want to be one of their alums.
Yeah. And now you are. Congrats.
Thank you.
No, that's mad. That Kanye West thing really put things into perspective for me. I'm like, wow, Kanye West went there, but Abigail was in there. Like, no, that's mad.
Thanks for listening to the first episode of the Where's My Podcast. It is not over yet, though. Head over to our Spotify and our Apple Podcast to take in the rest of the episode. Trust me, you won't regret it.